Welcome, everybody, to Golden Conversations with Rob Gregor. I'm your host, Gary Jensen, and today we also have another special guest, Ken Hamel. We're going to be talking about career technical education, or CTE, as it is most commonly known as. And so, Rob, I got to ask, as a superintendent, how does CTE play a role in what you guys are doing on the administrative level?
Well, for Yuba County Office of Ed, we have lots of areas that we work in, and we'll talk through them as we go through. But CTE is one of our major areas that we work with and help bring workforce. We want CTE used to be what people call ROP. Now it's career technical education. What we're trying to do is provide opportunities for trainings and services for our community so they can get jobs.
That's exactly what it is, I guess, right?
Right. Well, you got to find out what you love. I say it all the time. Everyone will find a career or have a career, but not everyone will go to college. And when you think about career technical education, you find a niche, something you love. Let's say it's radio or something of that nature. When you find that, you start working in it. And then you find out there's ceilings in almost everything we do, which we call certifications or credentials or things like that. Then you go out and you go, you know what? I need extra education to get that. So they'll go to maybe get a certificate, or they'll get a credential, or they'll get an AA degree, or they'll work further on. And then they all of a sudden, wait, I got to another ceiling or another limit within my job, and I want to go to that next level. It's career technical education. It starts that career, and then all of a sudden it moves to college. And then before that, they know it. They have a master's degree or even a doctorate in something that they never thought they would have. But that's why we're here. I mean, and Ken's a great example of that. He can tell you he started in the workforce and then moved into teaching.
Yeah, so let's get your example. So, Ken, you are the director of adult and career technical education for Yuba County Office of Ed. And so I want to hear your story. How did you get from where you worked into education for one, and then how did that evolve into becoming into administration?
So my background, I started school like everybody else, loving school in kindergarten and first grade. And then somewhere about third grade, fourth grade, I lost the love of school. And I'm not really quite sure why. It was probably less hands-on activities in class and more, book work. And I knew early on that I wanted to work on cars. That's what I wanted to work on. My dad, was a car enthusiast, and I kind of inherited that, that love of that, of working on cars. And so high school, I was not a good student academically at all. But I took all the shop classes. I loved the shop classes. And back when I went through school, it was called vocational ed at that time. Those classes really weren't promoted. They were gearing all students to go to college, and I was not on the college track. So I entered, probably in junior high, started cleaning body shops and wood shops, and that was my job. And just kind of, I enjoyed being in shops, and I went into the collision repair industry after high school, and I spent about 15 years in that industry. And then I enjoyed it, but I was looking for something, Rob mentioned, a plateau. I'd kind of plateaued in that area. I was looking for something where I felt I would contribute, more, to people, repairing somebody's car is great, but, the long lasting, I want to have an impact, I guess is what I'm looking for. And I saw that Yuba County Office of Ed was looking for a CTE teacher to teach high school automotive. So I applied for that, and I got that position, and I worked at our charter school for, probably 15 years in that capacity. And then so I understood at that point the value of education, because I didn't understand it in high school. So I tried to integrate that into my lessons with the students, and because I would see myself in these students. And then it became apparent that I needed to further my education to go into administration. So I went to college and actually applied myself, and I did quite well in college. And and then like Rob mentioned, then you get your bachelor's degree, and then it was the admin credential, and now I'm working on wrapping up a master's next year. So
it's
my
very true,
parents,
right?
my parents laugh because I'm the youngest of three, and I'm the one that hated school the most, and I'm the one that's in education. I understand the value, so I bring that kind of perspective to it. And so now I oversee, adult education and career technical education for the County Office of Ed. So that's kind of my background.
But again, you find that love, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're saying. He did something he loved, and then he wanted to do more, and then it leads to the next steps. And that's what we're doing within career technical education, ROP. I haven't heard it called voc ed in a long time, vocational education. Yeah. That's a term that they used when I was in school. And I remember sitting in my automotive class with Mr. Arnold, Benjamin Franklin Arnold, by the way. And he was teaching us just basic engine repair on, go-kart engines and things like that, lawnmowers. And then the next thing you know, we started working on cars, and we were doing everything from, doing carburetors, repairs, and then U-joints and doing all the different things. And yet I was on college track, but I was enjoying that way more because I loved the hands-on and doing those things. And so any chance I had, I wanted to be in the automotive class. And same thing with woodshop with Mr. DePauli and, welding and things like that. It was just like, those are the things that made a difference in my life. And it's still today. And that's why I still, real dear to my heart. And I'm excited that YCOE, Yuba County Office of Ed, can offer these kind of classes. Yeah. And we have such a vast area. How many areas does CTE actually have? Think about it.
There's 15 different sectors of career technical education, right? And so, and a bunch of different stuff. You can do automotive things. You can do aero STEM.
Yes.
There's stuff for technology as far as computer technology, things like that. My favorite, digital media, artsy media entertainment. And I got to tell you, you guys all have stories about CTE. And whether it be vocational or ROP, I remember ROP saved me from flunking out of high school, right? Because of photography and art classes. Those were the reasons I got up out of bed in the morning and went to school.
Right.
There were classes that I didn't mind cutting, especially my senior year, but I never missed my art classes or my photography classes.
But again, look, and what are you doing now today?
I'm teaching digital media. I'm teaching photography, videography, all that fun stuff.
Who are you teaching?
I'm teaching high school students.
Right?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? And you're doing adults too.
I am. And I am doing, yeah.
Think about that. So your sphere of influence, or at what you're touching, has just gone off the hooks. We call that, compound interest, right?
Right.
The best thing you can do is, you save some money and it gets interest and gains and gains. Well, that's what you're doing by each person that you're touching. You're touching a life. Now that person's going to touch someone's life, which that one turns to 3, to turns to 10, to turns to 100. Right. And that's what we do in education, but career technical education, we get to touch all parts of life. We're in compensatory education. A lot of times you're just doing the old 3 R's, reading, writing, arithmetic, so to speak. That's not true, though. People have interests. They have desires. I remember as a kid, I thought the best class I had was kickball, right?
Yeah.
I'd be outside. And seriously, I looked more forward to going outside and playing than I did. But I had a motivation. My teacher said, if you do this, Robbie, you can go out and do that. I like the if-then statements. Okay. So that logic was like, if you do this, then you get that. So guess how fast I got my work done?
Pretty quick.
But I got out there and nobody was with me. And I thought, well, this sucks. So then I went and helped everybody else in the class do their work. And then I would get in trouble for helping everybody and getting everybody done. But we had more people to play.
You touched on it is, I think most people like doing something with their hands
and feet.
And now with technology exploding in every area of life, the integration of technology in automotive and
welding. Think of plasma.
All of that.
They're doing it with computers now.
There's room for everybody in CTE, and it's fun. I remember years ago when I was first getting my clearing my CTE credential. I was in a group during the summer, and we had to present a lesson to different groups, and one was a group of nurses, and I had to present. So I'd brought some small engines in, and I'd had them disassembled, and my lesson was helping them assemble them, and I could just see they were not interested when it started. By the time that they were done assembling it, they'd had so much fun that but they hadn't, in their career path, they'd never touched a motor, and they were just so excited. They didn't realize how fun it was. And that's one of the benefits to our classes, and giving students the opportunity to, especially at the middle school and high school level, that they can find out, hey, I really like vet tech.
Right.
Or, which is also equally important, they may think they like, welding. And then they get in there and realize, this is kind of hot and sparks kind of, burn me a little bit. Yep. This is what I thought I wanted, but I didn't. And there's a value there because they pick up skills while they're there, but then they're able to pursue a CTE path or a career path that will truly fulfill them.
Well, just what you're saying with photography. I didn't take my first photography class till I got to college. Mm-hmm. And I loved it. And I found out what a dark room was and how to do developing and, apertures, all the other things. I had no clue any of those things. Same thing with music. I didn't get to do a lot of the music class, but I took choir in college, and then I took acoustic guitar, and I did those. That's why, some people, it could be music. It could be, arts. It can be many areas. I mean, how many people think they're going to be an influencer today? How many youth that you talk to think
9 times out of 10?
Right. But when I was a kid, they were all going to be video game players.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, when I first started teaching, I called it a kid. Every kid that I would talk to, they were going to be video game programmers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Think about that. In the 90s, that was so huge. Mm-hmm. Look how many of them turned out to do that.
Yeah, and just a handful.
And it's such an influence. And video games have now turned into, TikTok and Instagram, all the other things that are out there. Now you got influencers. So that's what kids want to do. They think that because they see the millions or they see the money, it's not about that. It's finding about what you're passionate about and what you're good. Because not everybody is articulate enough to be an influencer and do the things or to sing or be able to, do the areas that are going to get people to go those directions. But just going back to what you're doing, I mean, how many different groups do you get to work with? I mean, you're working with our Camp Singer kids, our Juvenile Hall kids. I mean,
there's about 7 different groups of kids that I actually get to interact with. So, from kids from the Juvenile Hall and Camp Singer to our charter school to Thomas E. Matthews in there. And they're all different, some of them are middle school
the
age
adults
and
too.
The seniors. And
the seniors.
I sat in and watched your class last week with them.
Adult
and
literacy.
they love the class. And it's so fun to watch these seniors get excited about the computer and the lights
in
go
high school,
on,
by the
and
way.
and that was really enjoyable. I really appreciated being able to watch that class.
And I love to see not only the spark from the kids, but the spark from those like the seniors where they feel like they're never going to get it,
right?
And then they get it, and they're like, oh. Okay, I understand.
For a senior citizen, one of the hardest things to do is if you didn't grow up with media, you didn't grow up with emailing, or you didn't grow up using your computer, what does it look like to you? A foreign object.
Yeah.
It's like speaking another language.
Sometimes it's even teaching them everything on how the keyboard works.
Right.
That's something that's second nature to most of us now. But I mean, some of these people that I'm teaching,
how many times have you hit Control Alt Delete? I mean,
I hit
73
that all
times
the
a
time.
day at least.
Exactly, but for them that means nothing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We had, I remember, it's been a couple of years over at Camp Singer, the Juvenile Hall program. Dan McAllister, the CT construction teacher there, his class had built a greenhouse, and so we had a little ribbon cutting ceremony. And one of the students there said, "This is the first time I've ever built anything." And just the way he said it was so profound that he was amazed at what
he could do.
His group and him, him being a part of it, were able to accomplish, and that's really neat. Where it wasn't that way when I was growing up. And
speaking of that,
built and destroyed plenty of things.
For sure. Speaking of that greenhouse, they're actually utilizing it now, planting flowers and vegetables, getting them started. And then taking them out to the garden area that they have out there at Camp Singer. And I don't know how many plants we have this year because, I mean, they have fully utilized that greenhouse and their garden space. There's going to be so much produce that's going to be coming out of that.
What are all the programs that we're offering right now through CTE? What name them off? Because a lot of times people have no idea. When we're talking career technical education, they think automotive, they think welding. Yeah. And that usually people stop with that.
So at the high school level, we have digital media arts, we have automotive, we have welding, we've got auto body, we've got veterinary technology, we've got aquaponics, which is using fish to, they do their business in the water that fertilizes the plants. The plants clean up the water, and it's just kind of
it's just a
full
cycle
circle. Yeah,
thing. It's really cool.
And then we have digital media arts and construction at the camp, and then on the adult side we have welding. We have welding with English supports for English language learners. We've got medical assisting. We've got EL for medical assisting, where and in the EL classes, they're provided English classes on the side to help facilitate their
the vocabulary and the understanding.
Exactly. We've got digital media arts for seniors there.
It's not really a media arts class.
Right.
I don't get into photography or anything with them, which would be really fun to do actually.
Right.
But that's the sky's the limit.
We just started our construction class. We're wrapping up our second week, and that's been exciting to watch these students come in that
never
have
held a hammer
no
in their
experience,
life.
and now they're chaining the extension cords up, which is an industry practice. They're using the skill saw. They're driving nails. It's been fun for me to watch. They each got a 50-pound box of nails, and to build up just their accuracy, hitting the nails, they drive nails a lot every day.
But again, it's an industry that we need. Drywallers, electricians, plumbers, builders. You need that in this day and age, and it's a good paying job.
Right.
But we're not doing any of the training, and so we saw a need, and we said, well, let's do it. That's what CTE is about. Like when you say that, well, why am I not teaching photography? Well, it's just probably because we haven't got it to there yet for our, for our adult citizens and our senior citizens. We don't have it at that point. But I guarantee there'll be people that are interested in it. And then once we get that interest level, we work with our One Stop, and we have WIOA grants and WIX grants, grants. And what they do is they help people get the training so they can get a job.
Yeah.
They get a job.
Yeah.
Guess what? They want to get an education. They get the education, and it keeps moving forward. That's why we do career technical education, and we do it with students in the high school age, middle school, all the way up through adults. Literally with senior citizens, in their 80s to be able to teach things.
Lifelong learners. That's what we're trying to help people become, and we're looking at right now trying to offer truck driving Class A programs. Right. So. That's exciting. That's a great paying job,
right?
And and someone could live with that license. You can work anywhere,
right?
Pretty much with. You
can work in our ag industry in this area. Hauling basically walnuts over to the Stockton to the port. You can do all kinds of different things through that. Going cross state, interstate, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And it's a job that pays very well. But again, a lot of things is just finding a niche, what you like. I mean, going back to what you were saying earlier, what's the best feeling in the world when you see a student get it, right?
Yeah.
And they understand it. Once they have that, I can do this. And any of us, why do you do what you do?
Because it's fun.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
And so it's learning a new tool in Photoshop or in Illustrator, or learning how a new piece of equipment works. That all it still inspires me to keep moving forward. And I try to share that with my students, right?
Yep.
And get them to have that same excitement that I do. Ken, I want to go back when you were talking about your upbringing and being a mechanic, and then you're like, there's something more. I got to do something more. Mm-hmm. What was that part of you that made a flip instead of just doing auto body that, okay, maybe I want to be teaching people how to do what I love?
I think I recognized the people in my life that taught me the trade when I was, an apprentice. And I realized that the skills that I had developed were because somebody taught me. And in what I was doing, working in shops, I didn't have the opportunity to pass that along. And so I was growing less content with what I was doing. And that's just me, because there is absolutely, I recognize the value when you fix somebody's car. That's their mode of transportation. That's how they get their kids to school. That's how they get to work.
Right.
And so, getting their car repaired, getting it safe, getting back to them is really valuable. But I wanted to, there's just something inside of me. I don't really know where it came from. That was the desire to try to mentor, I guess, a little
Yeah.
bit. And this,
I think that's a God-given thing where a lot of us just have that desire to do something with what we've been given, right?
Yeah.
And that's where, when you can find that passion, that's what I was going to say with yours, your passion, then you find that love. And then, as I've said to people, you find your why. And when you have your why, you'll start doing the work that it takes to get there. And that's what you're telling me and what I'm hearing you say. And that's what career technical education does. I mean, we do it through our adult ed also. We're continuing to find ways to help people get their high school diploma. Because some people, they feel like, oh, I don't even have a high school diploma or a GED. We start at the very basic, and then you move into that, and then you go to the career. So what do you want to do? Well, we can do it through technical education. We can do it through this. And here's a means to be able to do that. You get back to what I said, your passion. Now you're doing your why. And then when you feel your why, you feel that you've met your need, which is to serve and to help others. And I feel that's something that God puts in us. It's that desire to be useful and to be something where you're giving back. Yeah. And that's what I love about this job. And what we do is we get to give back to the community here in Yuba County, and we get to provide those little gold nuggets as we talk about the gold, that you have more givers than you have takers. Guess what happens? It brings up the base, and it brings up your community, and you have more people doing positive things.
I agree.
I think one, and I know we're running a little short on time, so I'll make this quick, but one of the things that's really been fun, and it's, so I've been working for the county office for 23 years, is I'll have former students that I'm friends with on social media, and I just had one a couple weeks ago. Every once in a while, they'll pop up something, and they'll mention, me in their post. And one was a former student, and he was welding, and he talks about find something you love to do, and, you won't consider it work. And he thanked me and I just introduced him to welding in my auto shop class, and we did a little bit of welding, but now he's gone on to, that's his career, and he's got children, he's supporting his family. And I've had other students that I've helped just a little bit, and they've so far surpassed my skill level that it's fun.
Well, that's what we want people to know, that Yuba County Office of Ed offers you opportunities. So maybe your child's not doing well in the regular school, and they're not enjoying it. I mean, that's why we have our charter school, the Career Preparatory Charter School. Join a school like that. Come be a part of us, and then we'll help them find a career and find their why they want to come. Because if they're not going to school, it's usually there's a reason, right? They're either bored, they don't feel like they're fitting in, or they just not wanting to do what everyone else is doing. And that's okay. We can find that niche, find out what it is. Is it art? Is it music? Is it, career technical education? Is it digital media? I mean, there's so many things. I mean, just recently, you had a group of Camp Singer kids here doing digital media. Yeah,
so I was able to have them come to 93Q Studios and take a tour of what we do here at the radio station in the podcast room we're sitting in right now, and everything that we do. And they came in and they sat in these chairs and started doing it. And they finally they looked at me and they were like, Mr. Jensen, we finally get you. We understand now what you're trying to teach us. It was a very big aha moment.
Experiential
so
learning.
Then we got back into the classroom, and I'm showing them all the stuff that we're doing. And they're like, okay, we can't do the stuff here in Camp Singer because we can't go out all the time and do those sorts of things. But the things that you do bring us to try to get us to do some work, I mean, it's bare bones, but at the same time, it works.
But again, you get that experiential learning. Think about it, if you wanted to be an archaeologist and you never got to work in the dirt. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, right?
Right,
but
exactly.
we teach kids in books, and they read about it, and they talk about it. But if you don't get to do it, that's what career technical education, I think, that's the aha moment. Yeah. Where, whoa, you can actually do this. And I remember Cedar Lane, this is years ago, as second grade teachers, we had they had the kids make the bones. They literally did a plaster. The teachers went out and they buried them in the dirt. And then the kids literally spent all day digging in the dirt, pulling the bones out, and then putting the dinosaurs together after that. They were on fire.
That is awesome.
They were on fire. I think it's still second graders, but it was because they got out there and got in the dirt, got their hands dirty. Well, that's what I think about for my life. When I got out there and did the work and did those things, that's why I loved going to automotive class with Mr. Arnold. I got my hands dirty. Yeah. I was able to do something. And then when I was done, guess what I had? A working finished product.
Well, not only that, but you had the experience as well. And so no matter what,
They can't take that away.
They can't take it away from you. And I mean, it feels like sometimes that experience that we gain, I mean, even if we take a welding class and we find out, oh, welding is not something I want to do for my career.
Right.
But then they have that skill already.
Yeah.
So they're doing something else. Oh, something breaks and it's metal. Oh, I'll just weld it back together. I've got this. I can take care of it. You know, I remember in my photography classes, I got in trouble one time from the teacher because why? I was rolling everybody's film to get developed because I was so good at it. And they would just hand me their film and I just do it and I take care of it, no problem, and handed it back. And he's like, you need to let them learn how to do it instead of you doing it for them. But I had gotten to the part where that skill was second nature for me and I really enjoyed doing it.
And that's career technical education in a nutshell. And that's what we get to offer to all of our people in this area. That's what we get to do. We get to serve them and provide an experiential learning that they otherwise wouldn't have. That, how awesome is that? I mean, think about hydroponics. Who would have thought we'd be ever teaching that? Vet tech. You know, some kids, like my daughter said she was going to be a veterinary, veterinarian for years and years and years. But now she doesn't want to be a vet, but she still works with animals every day because of the experiences that she had.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what you do is you find those experiences and then you'll find a job or something like that. I mean, she's working with coffee now and loves working and doing those things. I mean, that might be an area we expand in the future. Maybe we're going to make baristas and help people get into that career. See, that's all you have to do is start thinking about it. And then we go, oh, Ken, you need to go out and get us a grant so we can make this happen.
But, yeah, come on, Ken.
I get voluntold to do a lot of that.
Yeah. Well, I heard you were fantastic. So I want to make sure that you're doing it.
You know, it's such a wonderful, Superintendent Gregor says we get to do this, and that's our vision and that's our mentality in this, that it's not a job for us, it's a career for us. And there's a difference between a job and a career. And that's what we're trying to provide our students and the residents within the county with career opportunities. Yeah. And so I've had a lot of jobs, and automotive was my career, and then it went into education. And I think going back to your earlier question, I think I recognized for me personally, it wasn't a career anymore. It was a job. Yeah. And I was looking for fulfillment in a career. And so absolutely being an automotive collision tech is a career, but there was an element missing for me personally. So
I think there's been like a fundamental shift especially in high school, of instead of pushing kids to college, it's find your purpose, and find what you love, and so that and find how you work in the world. And it feels like the last 5 years, that's been a bigger push than ever. Yeah. Right. And so with that, that's helped with CTE, with career technical education. So those students who, they're not going to be doctors or lawyers, but they're going to be a fantastic welder or a great artist or anything like that. They can move forward.
And you're correct. There's been a huge shift in the thinking nationwide, statewide, locally on opening up opportunities for careers for students and not, just everybody's on a college track, because they're not.
Well, and that's why career technical education, CTE, is so important. ROP for some of you, and vocational technology. Those are terms you've all heard growing up, but it's not a negative term. It's a positive term. And again, we get to serve and we get to help people find their career. And that's why that's my why. And that's why I love what I do. And that's why I love that Yuba County Office of Ed gets to provide career technical education. Just one of the many things we do.
I think that's fantastic. So if somebody wants to find out more information about career technical education at Yuba County Office of Ed, what we do and what programs we offer, how do they do that?
Well, they can do it a couple of different ways. You can reach out to us directly at the Yuba County Adult and Career Technical Education Center at 530-749-4952. You can find us on the Yuba County Office of Ed website, or you can stop in at our building at 805 10th Street, which is just at the base of the bridge going into Yuba City. We're always open and happy to support people in their education and career, goals.
Awesome. Well, Rob, Ken, that's about all the time we have for today. But thank you so much for joining me and having this great conversation about career technical education. This has been Golden Conversations with Superintendent of Schools, Rob Gregor, and I am your host, Gary Jensen.